It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Ostel.
This right here is Car Con Carne. I'm James Van Ostel, and Car Con Carne is a Q101 podcast. I'm recording in the beautiful, the idyllic Long Grove, Illinois for this episode. Now, as beautiful and as quaint and charming as it is the most metal of all the Chicago suburbs. We'll get to that in a little bit. Car Con Carne is sponsored by Easy Automation. Do you own a home or a business? What if you could transform that space with cutting-edge home automation? It's not even a what if. You can transform that space with cutting-edge home automation. Experience seamless control over everything. It's so easy to do. And by everything, I mean lighting, climate, security, audio, and video. This is the future of smart living. It's your place, your rules. Get a quote by visiting easy-automation.net. And when I say get a quote, it's hassle-free, it's zero pressure. In fact, if you want to talk to the guy to talk to, call Dan. Give him a call at 630-730-3728. Car Con Carne is also sponsored by a book. We support literacy on Car Con Carne. This book right here is 90 Days in the 90s, a rock and roll time travel story written by Andy Fry. It's the ultimate novel about the 90s and the Chicago music scene. Remember the 90s? What were you listening to? Maybe Persistence of Time? Voodoo You? We'll get to those also. But going back in time to the 90s, that's what Darby, this character in this book, does. She's a record store owner in Chicago, and she hops aboard the Gray Line, which takes her back in time to Chicago in the 90s. Now, if you were around in Chicago in the 90s, well, even if you weren't, you were probably aware of what that music scene, what that moment in time was like. Well, Darby gets to go back and essentially get a do-over. Now, if you were given the chance, would you stay there? We find out what Darby does in this book right here, 90 Days in the 90s. As I'm reading this, I'm not even reading this, as I'm saying this, there's a mother taking a recalcitrant child to her car. So if you hear a child screaming out the window, that's what's going on. Again, Long Grove, beautiful and idyllic. Car Con Carne, one final note before I bring on the guest, a programming note. Car Con Carne, oh, that was a slam door. Parenting isn't easy. Let's be clear about that. Car Con Carne, live on stage, happening May 15th. Legit Dogs and Ice in South Elgin. I'll be there recording this very podcast with music performances by Aaron Williams, Karen Shook, Derision Cult. All those artists will be performing and talking to me. We'll have live comedy on stage from Chris Bongat, and also for those who enjoy the adult beverages, which I got to be honest, I do. Carson Souza from Obscurity Brewing will also be joining us, which means we'll probably be drinking mead, which means I'm probably okay with that because that's the kind of stuff that Thor drinks. Again, it is at Legit Dogs and Ice. It's in South Elgin. It is absolutely free. I couldn't charge anyone to attend this podcast, but that's coming up. I'd love to see you there. You could be part of the broadcast. Praise the Lord. So we're here. Lords of Acid is one of the most wonderfully subversive groups of the past 30-plus years. Their sound fuses acid house, industrial, techno, pop smarts, and no shortage of taboo-shattering sexuality. My guest is new to Lords of Acid, but is in no way new to the music landscape. She is Carla Harvey, who we came to know through Butcher Babies. And at the beginning of this year, it was announced that Carla is the new Acid Queen of Lords of Acid. So Saturday, June 7th, it is what's going to be a very demure, very mindful night of music. It is Lords of Acid at Bottom Lounge. Let's start right there. I mean, we're only a couple months into your reign as the Acid Queen. How did you... I mean, your background is metal.
You know, I'm a 90s kid. I was a teenager in the 90s, and so my background, although it may appear metal because I was in a metal band for the last 15 years, I'm pretty open to everything. I even grew up playing violin and really into classical music, but I found Lords of Acid in the mid-90s. I was a teenager, and quickly my three favorite bands became Pantera, Guns N' Roses, and then the oddball, Lords of Acid. But I was obsessed from the moment that I heard it. I mean, it makes you want to move. It makes you want to dance. I was like a teenager. We had fake IDs. We'd go down and we would go to this place called the City Club in Detroit. So some of you may know that out there if you ever have been to Detroit, this club still exists, but of course I haven't been to it in many, many years. But we would go down there, and that's probably how we discovered Lords of Acid, because they would play it endlessly, and we would dance the night away. And it was just like being introduced to that kind of music as, like, you know, a suburban kid. You're like, whoa, what is this? What is this sensation running through my body that makes me want to move right now? So it's visceral, and you know, metal music is visceral too. So I guess that, you know.
Well, that's fair, and I think you said it. I don't know of any of my friends. I don't know of anyone who only listens to one type of music exclusively. Like, if you were to look at a playlist on my phone, if I were to look at a playlist on your phone, it would be all over the place. And I think that's the way people consume music. Yeah, you can like Pantera, yeah, you can like Anthrax, but you can also go the other way and listen to stuff like Lords of Acid or Thrill Kill Cult or whatever.
100%. But somewhere along the lines, it got like weird to like different kinds of music. I think it's silly, and I think being introduced to music at such a young age, and, you know, being a musician, playing violin, being in the orchestra, I think that you're just exposed to everything. And even I grew up in a multicultural household, you know, so there was all different kinds of music. My dad was really into Prince, Stevie Wonder, and my mom loved Jethro Tull. So I, you know, just kind of being from Detroit, of course, classic rock is just slammed down your throat. So I don't know. I grew up listening to everything, and I think that everyone should kind of explore music, especially if you want to write music. You should kind of understand elements of everything.
You mentioned your fake ID. I feel so bad for the kids these days. In our technological age, I think it's harder to get away with a fake ID.
I mean, we were so bad back then. We did, everything was bad. I was a blue collar kid, you know. I didn't have anything growing up, so we would like do anything. We would, you know, go steal gas and all kinds of stuff. We had our fake IDs, but we were just trying to survive. And now it's different. Like, you can get in a lot of trouble.
Yes, right.
It felt so innocent back then. And of course, we only stole from the man, you know, like it wasn't like we were like the Robin Hoods of Detroit.
There you go. You got to rationalize it.
Yeah.
So how did Lords of Acid find you? Did you find them? I mean, how did you make the connection?
You know, I've always made it known that I'm a Lords of Acid fan on social media. I've tagged them a lot. I've followed them for years, and I've comment on their pages. And when they were looking for a new singer, a lot of fans were kind of like, "Oh my God, you should do this." So I think it was just kind of like magic.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, is Praga Khan a mad genius?
I mean, I think so. I just, like I said, I think anybody who can, like, again, I'll go back to that word visceral, make you feel these like visceral feelings. I mean, he's a groundbreaking artist for sure. And I think that when music makes you feel something, the person that created it is a genius.
So Lords of Acid historically have played the Riv, the Vic, Cubby Bear, Bottom Lounge. I feel like anything that is industrial adjacent, and certainly anything rooted in house, will always be welcome on a Chicago stage. I mean, this is such a great city for Lords of Acid.
You know, I've only been a Chicago resident for the last, it's been 5 years now, almost to the day that I've been a resident here. But, you know, we would take the Amtrak train from Detroit, where I grew up, to go to shows in Chicago. So, Chicago and Detroit love this kind of music. They also just love going to shows. People support live music in the Midwest in these cities like this. So I think that's, whether it's, you know, metal or house or whatever it is, the level of support, people actually get off their asses and go to shows, which is really important. You got to do that. You
got to do that. And you still go to shows. I saw you just made it to Salt Shed for your first time.
Yeah, I just went to Salt Shed. If there's something in town that I want to see, or that Charlie wants to see, we'll go see it. We were just at Deftones. You know, we love going to shows, and we're both fans of music. Like, that's the cool thing, I think, about both of us. We're fans of things still, and I think that not losing that is really important. You always want to be blown away by a performance. You want to go see other people. You want to support. I don't know. It's something magic about taking other people in.
Yeah, it's really easy to get jaded.
100%.
So staying true to what you love. I mean, your love for music is what got you here.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I love waiting in the line to get to a show. I'm a little bit jaded in that. I'm just joking. But you know what I mean. I do. I love getting out there. I love to see what people are creating. I love seeing my favorites. I am definitely still the girl that will cry when I hear my favorite song at a show or get really emotional. You know.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
So my daughter is, my God, she's 18, and she loves Fleetwood Mac. Grew up loving Stevie Nicks, and I took her to see Stevie Nicks at the United Center like 2 years ago. We walked out of the show. I said, "So what did you think?" She said, "I only cried 3 times." That's the thing. And for the record, it was Landslide, Gold Dust Woman, and Rhiannon.
Yeah, those are good ones to cry about.
But I get the emotional connection.
I mean, me and Charlie and I saw Elton John. I cried like almost the whole time through that. And what else did we see? We went to go see Phil Collins, and we were toast, both of us. Like as soon as he came on stage, done. So we're both I don't know. Music is the one thing that still makes me emotional. I'll hear a song that made me cry 30 years ago. I may not have heard it in 30 years, but I'll hear it and I'll feel those exact same emotions again. Like, that's beautiful. And
there are no other forms of art that have that sort of deep, arresting connection.
Yeah.
It's funny. When you mentioned seeing Phil Collins and Elton, whenever I see one of those icons on stage, whether it's the Rolling Stones or whatever, I almost have an out-of-body experience because there's part of me that can't believe I'm seeing the person who wrote and performed that song perform that same song in front of me. Like it's a very surreal experience.
Yeah, no, it is surreal, especially when they're like your favorites, and it's such an emotional thing, and we latch onto music, and we really like whatever we're going through, we attach it to a song, and it just, when we hear it live and we see the person who wrote it, it's just mind blowing sometimes.
So thinking about this transition to Lords of Acid, your fans coming over from Butcher Babies, will they be surprised by what you're doing now?
I think they'll be surprised, but I also think they're not going to be surprised. It's not like that far off. People keep saying, "Oh my God, it's so different. It's this." And yes, the music's different, but I think the energy level is the same. And Butcher Babies fans are so accepting of different things or trying new things. That's the one thing that I really, really love about the Butcher Babies fan base. If you want to try something different, they want to love it. They're not going to, immediately say, well, that's terrible. I don't want to hear this. I only want to hear this one. You do this one guttural scream, the whole song. So they're really giving. So I'm excited for people to come see it and at least have a different experience than they're used to, and have a little fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they're new to Lords of Acid and they go see you on stage, they might experience something like Screwed by You, which has all those kind of lacerating guitar sounds. It'll feel like home. There's
some pretty heavy guitars in some of the Lords of Acid stuff, and there is a live band.
Yeah.
So I think that people are going to feel at home. And, I said this in another interview that, like, the people that love Lords of Acid and people that love metal, a lot of us are just disenfranchised kids, and we're kind of all the same. And so I think it's going to be a good fit.
I love it. And I know you have your favorites. You Belong to Me.
I love that song.
Which is almost a mid-tempo song for Lords of Acid.
Yeah. It's kind of mid, but it's mid-tempo. It's a nice little breather.
Yeah.
But there's so many good songs.
Now, are the other guys still in Belgium?
I think that most of the musicians are scattered across the U.S.
Okay.
and then of course Praga is in Belgium.
So how do rehearsals look for this tour?
We have 2 rehearsals. Two days before the tour starts.
Stop it.
So that's a little bit scary. I'm not going to lie and say that's not scary. I've never rehearsed for a tour in quite this way, where I've never played the songs live before. and never met anyone before. Like, I don't know these people at all, really. So it's going to be a little scary, but I think that, you know, I've been on stage for 15 years, so it's not. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
And then what's the with the tour on the way? What's the status on the album?
So we have the songs ready to go. I have to record my vocals, but it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's going to be really fun.
As far as writing lyrics for those songs, were these lyrics that you couldn't use anywhere else? Do they?
So, you know, the Acid Queen doesn't really. I'm not really hands on in the writing process.
Got it.
With these. I am going to make adjustments as I see fit, but you know, I'm not really involved in that part.
Got
I'm
it.
just going to perform and add my flavor to it. But that's the way that they work. That's the way that Lords of Acid have always worked.
Understood.
They write the songs and they have the Acid Queen come in and sing them, which is also very different because, you know, I've always had a huge role in writing. You know, Butcher Babies, we all wrote the songs together. For my new project, The Violent Hour, I've written everything with Charlie. So everything that I say in those bands and in my new project, Violent Hour, it's all coming from my soul, especially this new Violent Hour album. So I'm very passionate about what I'm saying on stage. So that's a little bit different, but these songs are fun. They're fun party songs, and so it's all different. The thing is, I'm playing a character, you know, kind of for the first time on stage. I've always been very authentically myself on stage, and I'm still going to be in Lords of Acid, but it's also a fun opportunity for me to be a larger than life character.
Yes.
You know, which I'm excited about.
New album on the way from Lords of Acid. Let's talk about The Violent Hour. We're getting the slow drip of songs now.
Yeah. So I've written this over the last couple of years with Charlie Benante, my husband or fiance. I call him my husband already.
Yeah, I realize
not quite my husband yet.
You mentioned Charlie a few times. We should probably acknowledge that he's Charlie Benante, Anthrax, Pantera.
Yeah, I always say Charlie, and I figured everybody knows who Charlie is.
Right.
So no introduction needed. But it's been awesome to write an album with him. I mean, I wake up every day next to this extremely talented human being. So how perfect to write an album together. And it's great. We'll be sitting on the couch together at night, and he'll pull out his guitar and start playing, you know, a riff. And I'm like, what's that? I want that for The Violent Hour. Can I have that? Who does it belong to? Does it belong to Anthrax yet? Because if not, I want it. And don't take that the wrong way out there. I'm not stealing any Anthrax music. People get so mad. The Anthrax album has been written for a while now, so he had time to kind of give this some life and some space, and it also, you know, allows him to kind of branch out and try some things musically different that he's never gotten to showcase before. So it's been like an absolute joy to work with him. It's been this really awesome, intimate experience to write with each other. And
that's not always the case with creative couples. Sometimes they don't sync up like that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that we don't always, you know, there's sometimes we just may disagree on a part here or there, or, but for the most part, I don't know, I've opened myself up to a lot of new ideas too, and I've realized that for a while, I almost was holding myself back from things that I really wanted to do for whatever reason. And he helps me to open myself up to new ideas and trying new things and just, I don't know, and then on that level being even more authentic than ever before.
So when will that album see the light of day? And do you think in terms of albums? I mean, it's a different era.
I do. I'm old school, and I think of in terms of albums. And when I think of my music, I think of it as an album. I think of all the music videos. I think of everything as a concept, and I have it all planned out in my head. very like old school style. So we just released the first song last week. The video's coming out very soon, I think next week.
I think I saw some behind the scenes of that.
Yeah, so
You screaming into a camera.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And then we have another song coming out next month, and then an EP, and then the full album probably later in the year. So trying to be smart about how we put it out, but also I'm so excited to just get it out too.
And I love hearing that you think in terms of an album, an A-side, a B-side. Like, as a listener, I want to be in that vision.
Yeah.
From start to finish. I want to, track 1 to track 10, whatever it is. I like following that journey.
I want to take people on a journey. You said the exact right thing. Like, that's always been really important to me, the journey. Like, some of my favorite albums, like one of my favorite albums is Failure's Fantastic Planet. And I could listen.
You are a 90s girl.
I am. I'm terribly 90s. I can listen to that album on repeat, but I never skip a song. It's, the album is in its entirety is perfection, and every track to every track is perfection. And man, I would love it to create an album that people didn't skip a song.
Well, see, and this is my argument for vinyl in general. I'm not an audiophile. I couldn't tell you that vinyl sounds better than streaming, sounds better than CDs. I don't know if that's true. I just like the experience of it. I like, because you don't skip tracks. If you're recuing a record, it's just too much work.
Yeah.
Like, just let it roll. And I agree with you. I don't like, when I'm in my car, when we part company today, I'll throw on my playlist, and I guarantee you I'll be listening to the first 90 seconds of the first 20 songs that come across.
Yep.
So I think that is a valid want and need for this new project.
I think so too.
I don't know if I mentioned we're in Long Grove. We're near the Long Grove Coffee Company. Did we even talk about what we're drinking here?
No.
I just followed your lead, Carla. This is the Yellow Jacket, which is made now with hot honey.
Yeah, I almost had a meltdown. I've been ordering this coffee the specific way that they used to make it, and now they've changed the formula, and I hate when people change the formula. But they made it special for me because they had a little cayenne pepper in the back. So these are quad espressos with a little cayenne pepper and honey and lavender.
Hot honey, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I usually ask for a little extra cayenne pepper, but I could tell they were going to be a little tight with that cayenne pepper today, so I let it go.
Yeah, they made it's kind of like when you go to a car dealer and they have to go back and talk to the manager to see if they can agree to terms. The woman came out, we could do the cayenne for you.
Yeah.
It was a big concession.
Yeah.
But we are in Long Grove. I've got cider donuts in the back seats because that's what you do when you're here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a magical little village. And I moved here to be with Charlie after living in Los Angeles from 1999 or 98. I think I moved there on. So when I first moved to the suburbs, I was like, what the hell? What am I doing here? And now I love it. I'm so invested in the suburbs. I'm a suburban housewife.
Can we talk a little bit about the day job? Because I find this super interesting. So as you're doing the Violent Hour, as you're doing Lords of Acid, you also full-time grief counseling.
Yep. So I started a grief counseling business back in 2016 called Good Grief. And I've done a lot of volunteer work for veterans and for kids, terminally ill people. So when I started, I graduated from Mortuary College in 2007. I was a mortician for many years. Mm-hmm. When Butcher Baby started to tour, I could no longer have a job as an embalmer because you have to work at the very, very long hours. So there was no way that I could do that anymore. I always wanted to still help in that capacity, though. So that's why I started Good Grief, did some counseling. And then throughout the years, I really, really missed working in the death care space. And I found an incredible opportunity as a grief specialist for a company called Parting Stone. And we make stones that you can hold out of cremated remains. So they're not a product or a trinket. They are literally a new form of remains. So they're ashes that you can hold, which for the grieving process is so special because it allows grieving people to have a continuing bond with the person they loved. You could put one of these in your pocket if you're having a bad day. You can spread them in places that you can't normally put cremated remains, because if you don't know this, you can't just dump cremated remains just anywhere. But you can sneak one of these stones into Disneyland. so many cool places. But it's really, really special service, and I'm just so lucky right now to be able to work a full-time job and still do music, because it's hard for musicians to survive. So having something else that you're also passionate about, but you can also make a living at, is really important. And again, I'm in a great spot in my life where I can pursue music and also have this incredible job.
And in grief counseling, the first thing people think of is death. But I mean, grief hits dramatically in so many different ways. I think about job loss, which so many people we all know have faced recently.
Yeah, no, 100%. In fact, I think that death is probably the last thing people contact me about. A lot of people contact me for counseling when they feel like a loss of a sense of self, and they don't even maybe know why they do sometimes, but their life has changed in some aspect and they just can't get back to feeling like themselves. And we have a process that we go through together and just try to get you feeling, some joy in your life again. But yes, if you lose a relationship, you lose a status, leaving after, I left Butcher Babies, you don't know, like, man, am I still the same person if I'm not that, if I don't have that status? A lot of people go through that kind of thing, no matter what the situation is. Divorces, but yeah, death, although I deal with a lot of death, it's not always what I counsel people on.
A few years ago, during the pandemic, mental health was talked about a lot. Yeah. And I feel like it's talked about maybe a lot less in the present day, but it's no less important.
I think that we've stopped talking about it as much as, but I do think it's come more to the forefront. And I also think in that space of the pandemic, people also started to realize what was important to them, and people's lives started to shift. And we started to find more happiness in the small things again. And I think that was really important for mental health, to have that hard break for a minute. It was terrible in a lot of ways. For sure. Because a lot of people were very isolated. But also a lot of us learned what's truly important in life, and I think that was important. But yeah, I try to let people know that they're not alone, and that I'm always available to help them with their loss, whether that's, again, a death or just again, loss of a job or a divorce or whatever it is.
Is it harder for music? It's all relative, but being a musician, I'd imagine, is very hard because there's that unreality, just the hours you're on, and what being on means, I think, can be very exhausting if you're not kind of emotionally tough enough. I
actually just kind of wrote a song about that that's going to be on my album, and there's a great tagline, 23 for 1. There's 24 hours in a day, but when you're on tour, it's like a lot of those 23 hours suck, except for that 1 hour that you're on stage. Right. Giving it your all, and so your life becomes this 23 for 1. It's really interesting life. You almost become like institutionalized in a way when you're on tour. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, and it's not something that I will ever do for 10 months out of the year ever again in my life.
You're balanced. I
think you have to be balanced. Yeah. And again, it all depends on what's happening. If you can bring your whole family with you, but there's so much more to life than just being out there endlessly. There's so many moments that I've missed, and I'm so proud of what I've done, the last 15 years, but you miss a lot.
Absolutely. All right, so in summary, Carla, Lords of Acid, on stage, Bottom Lounge, June 7th.
Yeah.
On a Saturday night.
Hometown show.
Hometown show. As summer's starting to ramp up. Album on the way.
Yep.
Which we'll keep an eye out for. Speaking of albums on the way, we also have the Violent Hour. This is your year, Carla.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this year. I'm so happy. I feel I just feel happy. I feel happier than I have in many years. It's been such a joy to work with Charlie. It's been really exciting to get involved with Lords of Acid.
Sure.
Yeah, and I even am getting married this year, so it's going to be a good year.
Were you able to get a good band?
We don't have a band yet. We need a band. We need a band in Las Vegas for our wedding.
I think you might know some people.
Yeah.
You might know some people. Also, as I'm listening to you talk, as I've got headphones on, I'm ready for the Carla Harvey podcast.
You know, people say I have a good, good speaking voice. Yeah, I actually did an episode of a grief podcast that I was going to do once, but man, I'm already busy.
Yeah. But a grief podcast, I think, would be...
Yeah, if I had the tools to do it at home and it was easy, I might incorporate that at some point into my life. But right now,
you got enough going on.
I've got enough
You're
going
good.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for jumping in the car on Easter Hop Day, on Bunny Hop Day
Yeah.
in Lake Grove. So great to meet you, and can't wait to see and hear all that's coming up in the months to come.
Thank you. And I didn't even get a picture with the Easter Bunny today, even though he was right there. So I'm pretty bummed about that. But
He was. We were on borrowed time. It was like 1:55. He was cutting out at 2. I mean, you know how it is.
I saw him taking a cigarette break.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, kids.
Goddamn kids.
Bunny needs his medicine.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Carla.
Yeah, thank you.